Now it's time we start the long trek to the bottom of the final dungeon. There is a bonus dungeon after this at the end of the game, which is like 100 floors deep, but it's not especially interesting from what I've seen, so chances are I'm probably not going to worry about that. Whoa, where'd you come from? Anyway, let's see, up here we have the back floor entrance again, which is painting with a carpet in front of it, with this really elaborate staircase in front of it. The problem is that it's not impossible to go into in the English version, but it's extremely difficult. Because it's very glitched on whether or not you receive the item, which I believe is called the flapping fan or something like that. To where it doesn't really drop normally from chests. I heard that it's very rarely possible to find it, but it's to the point where it's easier to do a glitch involving the deposit system and basically force it into your inventory. But most normal playthroughs will never see the back of it, so we're almost definitely not going to see it. The last dungeon is extremely long compared to all the other ones, being something close to 25 floors deep. With a lot of games, you'll notice that the worst parts of it tend to be near the end, because one, that tends to be the part that was worked on the least, and two, game developers don't really want to spend a lot of time on parts that most players won't even see. Because at this point in the game, there's no more town building, there's no more new NPCs to talk to, and you don't really unlock anything new besides story. It's just you and crawling deep through the dungeon. Alright, I think I got everything on that floor. So unless I stop and go back to restock, it's just floor after floor after floor. Also, I believe there aren't any limited floors as far as forcing out characters, at least until near the end of it. So we're going to be stuck playing as Toan for the vast majority of it. Alright, got a new recolor of the statue enemies all the way from the first dungeon. See, do they have the same attack animation? I believe so. Although, no, I think they had more of an overhead swing. Wonder if I can make them get do that one. Yeah, I think that animation is just different. I know I describe a lot of these enemies as being recolors, but I know that there's at least a little bit more effort into touching them up. Like, those bats are definitely recolors. But there tends to be at least a few different added on to them. A few differences. Yeah, if I remember correctly, unless you get all the memories built and put together, you can't access the final floor. Yeah, sure, why not? Alright, an NP and... one or two shotting most enemies as it is, even here at the very end. What? Game, come on. I'm in the middle of something. Ah, stupid second swing. But yeah, before fighting the final boss, I want to pump up my base stats as much as possible, because I have no idea what its type could really be. And just take a swing, down it goes. Even here at the end, it's still plaguing me. Wow, that is a busy room going on in here. Is this a Mimic-Core? I have a feeling this is a Mimic-Core. Yep. There's the last variation of Mimics we'll see. I still have no idea whether or not this guy has a tell for which one's the good one. Oh well. I like how clanky these last few mimics sound. Let's see. Oh, nope. Thought there was a spring on the map, just a pillar. pretty bad luck. It's been like 4 floors and still haven't spawned a spring in any of these. Let's see, I got the back floor. Yeah, I got the back floor key. Or door key, I guess I should say. Yeah, let's go back and get... Oh, it's just a chest. I don't really need any whatever's in it at this point. Thought I was still alive. I've read too much One Piece. I thought of Buggy as a person rather than an object, like a carriage. I should do a One Piece game at some point. Should I try at this point? Well, Goro go in. Sure, why not? Oh. Recolors of those Dasher enemies from the first dungeon. Rash Dasher. And that's pretty much the same as far as I can tell. Sure, why not? Barely anything benefits from that stuff very much anymore. So at this point, any long-term stuff has already had its effect, so just go for as many big short-term bonuses as possible. Oh, that looks so good. Seeing a whole bunch of 3-digit numbers pop up right after another after like that. You see those backup dancers as enemies here, but I don't think you ever see that one lead dancer. Which is weird. You think they get more use out of that one unique model they have. It's also pretty much the first one that you see in the entire game. Alright, that's 5 floors with no spring. Is it gonna be 6? Up. I know I spent most of the game ragging on Goro for being terrible, but another reason is that Ungaga has a very similar backstory motivation, but he eventually gets over it way better than Goro does. Ends up being a lot more useful too, both in terms of gameplay and story. Like, I would stop complaining about him being terrible, but he hasn't stopped being terrible. Alright, how are we doing on parts? I do like whenever they fit in any actual stuff we've seen before. As a part of the memories. Some other stuff could very easily be actual physical objects like that buggy or bed. Well, maybe not the bed. We never really did an interior area besides the area with the golem in it. It would have been interesting to do a spot where you had to do like furniture and stuff. Okay, finally have a spring in, like 6 floors in. Oh, new enemy. Its appearance is almost completely new. In fact, I think that's... Yep. I think that might be our last new unique enemy. And I believe there's other recolors in this dungeon too. And the spring here is really weird. It's not water, it's some kind of stained glass floor. I do like how it looks, but it's just odd compared to all the other ones so far, which have very consistently been some kind of water source. Even in areas that shouldn't really have water sources, like in the pyramid in a desert. No, come on. Yes, one of those. Yeah, sure, one of those. Well, go with one of these instead. Oop, camera not helping here. Let's see, do I have the 4 key for this? Not yet. These guys are more interested in retreating than actually fighting. Have I seen him even do an attack yet? Like the ice variant of the first one that we saw back on the shipwreck did more interesting stuff than these guys have. I'll say this, at least those new enemies have a really good death animation. I would want there to be like a deck variant and having their death animation be 52 pickup.